All right, here we are. Prop the mic, PTM, coming back to you after a long week one NFL Sunday. Some interesting outcomes in yesterday's games. But now we got the first Monday Night Football game of the year. As anyone's not aware, you can see I am a longtime Jet fan. So we're just like in Thursday night's game. We're not going to let you didn't let your Chiefs bias come into play, I don't think. I'm certainly not going to let any Jets bias. It's hard to have bias as a Jets fan, right? So I'm not going to let it affect me. So what do you think?
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably not true. You're definitely going to have some bias, but I think you'll have
negative bias.
Might be negative bias, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And then just for solidarity, I put on my Mets hat today because I'm not a Jets fan. I'm a Chiefs fan, but I kind of felt like the Mets were the closest thing to the Jets that I could.
Yes,
I could put
they
on
both were used to call Shea Stadium home. So yes,
Yep.
they are the closest. That's the closest team. So good job, Dave.
A lot of pain in those with those fans.
That's for sure.
But I think this is going to be a different year for the Jets, right? I think they are got a good coach, got a good quarterback. Finally, got some really good offensive weapons, receiver, running back, and certainly probably the best part of the team is the defense. So excited to see what the Jets can do tonight and this season.
Yeah, it should be interesting. If the preseason hype is any indication, they have a lot to look forward to. But we also know that it's the Jets, and things can unravel quickly. So
yeah,
we're keeping our fingers crossed here.
All right, so you want to just dive into it? We'll cover kind of what the game spread is total, and then we will talk about our favorite props. Keep this short today, right? Just one game.
One game. Let's do it. In and out.
All right, so we got the Bills traveling south to New Jersey, take on the Jets. Jets are getting 2 points at home, so another home underdog situation. See how great that worked out for the Giants last night. And total is 45.5 points. So I would say that's kind of middle to high scoring for week one, which kind of surprises me. It feels like that that total might be a little bit high given how defensive minded these two teams are. What are your thoughts on the points in the total to start?
Yeah, I think I'm surprised. I didn't look if the total has come down. I could see maybe it after what we witnessed yesterday with all these unders hitting. I think I could see that. I could see people being on the under here, kind of jumping on that week one trend. In terms of the spread, you say it's sitting at +2 right now.
Yeah, Jets +2.
Jets +2. Okay, it's come down a little bit. I think they've taken a lot of sharp money. I see a lot of sharp action on the Jets +2. Not making a pick here. I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think taking the Bills -2 most games is a pretty safe bet. So if I had to go one direction, I'd take the Bills -2. You did that to my Chiefs. You were taking the Lions, so I'll do it back to you.
All right.
And I think under. These two teams played last season. I think the last game that they played, the Bills won 20-12. So, not a lot of points scored in that game. So
yeah, I like the under. You didn't obviously. Josh Allen doesn't need snaps with his guys. They bring back most of the guys from last year with a couple of changes, but Aaron Rodgers hasn't played a lot of snaps with the Jets here. So there's going to be a learning curve. This is where it's going to happen. This is kind of like this. I kind of equate regular season week one to what preseason week 3 used to be. It was like, that was the dress rehearsal. This in a lot of ways is kind of the dress rehearsal. So I think that under is probably a good play.
Yeah, and then they played once at the Jets earlier in that season. Jets won that 20-17. So talking about 32 points and 37 points in those two games.
Yeah.
So again, defensive minded teams. What are you seeing in terms of kind of projections for these pass D run Ds for both teams?
So I mean it's tough. So I've kind of let me get through the matchups here. You have Jets. Warren Sharp's got them as the number 1 overall secondary. Buffalo not far behind at number 4. So you got 2 phenomenal secondaries here, and the front sevens are not really much worse. He's got Buffalo at 6 overall, and even the Jets at 12. That's still the top half of the league. So it scares me a bit, kind of, especially with the new guys in town on the Jets side. Kind of until you kind of see how things shake out with these 2 strong defenses. One, scoring should be down, obviously. Offense should be down, and it kind of scares me to make any overplays on the quarterback. So you kind of feeling the same way?
Yeah. I think in a relatively low scoring game, I'm gonna stay. I looked at potentially doing like a an alt it down parlay. Josh Allen at like maybe 225 yards and Rodgers at 200 yards. They both have relatively good hit rates at those numbers, and you put those together, you get minus 110. So if I'm gonna play
Okay.
any passing yards, I'd probably take both quarterbacks down and play those. But again, weather's gonna be a little tricky in New York tonight. The you know, like you said, it's week one.
What's going on in New York? What's going on in New York weather-wise?
We got thunderstorms rolling in, so I'm not sure if
Ooh.
that's gonna go all the way out to New Jersey, but we'll certainly not going to be a beautiful night, I don't think. So,
All right.
so keep that in mind.
Yes.
So anyway, so let's pass on the passing yards, and let's just go to your favorite prop. What do you like the best in this game?
All right. I think my favorite play here. So I'm kind of the four defensive groupings we just spoke about. The Sharp has the Jets front seven ranked the lowest. So maybe let's see if we could take advantage of that there. So I think who benefits from a a relatively weak front seven. A lot of times that's the opposing running back. I'm loving James Cook here tonight. He's a I got a lot of information on him, so just bear with me one sec. A lot of notes here. I like him because he's a dual threat kind of guy in terms of rushing and receiving. You're about to hear some crazy numbers here. He averaged 6.2 yards per touch last season, right? That was 12th overall in the entire NFL. That's tied with Jalen Hurts for yards per touch. So
Yeah.
to show you how productive this guy was. He averaged 1.4 yards per route run, which amongst running backs, he was 16th amongst running backs. So that's your dual threat right there. One of the better pass catching running backs. Another great stat: he gained 15 plus yards on 13% of his carries last year. That was the highest rate in the entire NFL.
Wow.
So he's got crazy explosive potential here. He's also elite at yards before contact. This is insane. He averaged 4.2 yards before contact on first downs last season. Just for perspective, the NFL average for running backs on first down is 1.5 yards. He averaged 4.2. It was number one by far out of the 96 running backs eligible for that stat. Couple more. He averaged 2.7 yards before contact on all downs in all situations, which was number 3. So he just dropped from number 1 to number 3. Still super elite. And then if we take a step back, so that was all the kind of why I'm directed onto Cook here. And then if you take a step back and look at the Bills in general, I wanted to look at what they did. So they brought in Harris, right? So Singletary left. They brought in Harris. Now some people might be worried. They brought in Damian Harris. Is he gonna take some production away from Cook, right? So last season with 2 running backs on the field, the Bills averaged negative 25% EPA per attempt. They had a 30% success rate and 4.4 yards per catch.
Okay.
When they only had 1 running back on the field, they averaged only negative 6 EPA. So a huge difference. Went from negative 25 to negative 6%. They jumped up from a 30% success rate to a 44% success rate and 5.1 yards per carry. So I think they will limit their usage of 2 running back plays and lean more on Cook than Harris here. So all that being said, here's my 2 plays on Cook. I like his over 61.5 rush and receiving yards. This is minus 114 on FanDuel. It's you can actually get it at 60.5 on PointsBet if PointsBet's available to you, and it's as high as 63.5 on BetMGM. He only went over this total in 4 games last season, but Devin Singletary was the guy there last year. So that led me to look at what did Singletary do when he was the guy that when he was running back number 1. Singletary went over this line in 10 of 18 games, averaging 67.2 rush and receiving yards. And when they were on the road, he went over in 6 of 8, averaging 82.5. So I think that shapes up nicely for Cook. And then getting back to that explosiveness that I spoke about at the start, I like his longest rush. It's over 12.5 yards for his long rush.
Yeah.
When he had 6+ rush attempts last season, only 6+. He's having way more than 6 tonight. He cleared in 5 of 6 games. And listen to these longs. You can pull it up: 33, 29, 28, 27, 10, and 13. I think this is a home run. I'm super high. He was in our preseason. I'm super high on him. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the longest rush is more compelling. just because we don't know what his usage is going to be.
Mhm.
What you said lends me to think he's going to be the guy and get the vast majority of the touches, also some good catches out of the backfield. So I do like his rush plus receiving as opposed to just playing the rushing yards. I like that angle, but
Mhm.
I'm pretty in love with this 12.5 longest
Yeah,
rush.
I thought you would be.
I like those plays. I like them because you could be, he could have a 2-yard rush, as the longest rush for 3
Yeah.
quarters, and then the fourth quarter you just bust one out.
Yep.
Or like yesterday, we had 2 plays, longest reception that both cashed in the first quarter. So I think that's also really nice when you get it done early and then you can just enjoy the game. So
Yes.
I like both of these plays. I lead more on the longest rush, but I think they're both great plays. So good
Were you
analysis.
on? Were you on Cook at all? Or?
I was not.
Okay.
I do like James Cook. I think he is kind of like you can't really look at his stats from last year because the situation was so different, and that's probably why I laid off of him because I'm trying to use the historicals. But when you kind of like look at Singletary's production, I think he's a great pick across the board. So I like that a lot.
Nice, thank you.
And like you said, that's really the Jets front 7 is really the only weakness amongst these 2 teams defensively.
Yes.
It's not even that strong. Weak, but that's probably the opportunity to take advantage of.
Correct.
All right, I posted this one up just about an hour ago, but I like Garrett Wilson over 67.5 receiving yards. So I'll just recap that one real quickly. Let's get Garrett Wilson here on props.cash pulled up. He's as high as 70.5 at PointsBet, 69.5 at FanDuel and Caesars, and then you can get him at 67.5 at DraftKings. Just look at his last 10 weeks of the season. He was the offensive rookie of the year. He cleared this in 7 of his last 10 games with a very, very challenging quarterback situation there with Zach Wilson. And who else was there? Flacco? Was Flacco the second string? Is that who else was throwing?
He was, yes.
And there was another guy. I can't remember his name. Do you remember
Stricker or whatever his name was. Yeah.
No, there was. Mike White was. That his name?
Mike White. Yeah, Mike White.
Right.
Too. Yeah.
So it was just like a rotating cast of characters. This kid is great. I actually really love this kid's attitude too. I heard him do some preseason interviews, very humble. He's going to go out there and just produce. I really believe
he was good on Hard Knocks. Yeah, you could see him. They followed him around a bit. He's a good kid. Yeah.
Very good kid. But with the right. We don't make money off of people's attitudes, but what matters is he's kind of got the right mentality going into the season, right? He hasn't gotten that big head from winning the offensive rookie of the year award. So I think he's going to do great. I think Rodgers is a legit quarterback. We don't have to really talk about that. What I did hone in on, in addition to his hit rates from last year, was also just in the small sample that we had Rodgers in the preseason. It was really just the Jets-Giants game in the third preseason game.
Yep.
Rodgers started the game, came out, had one drive, and then they punted and then had another drive and they scored a touchdown. That was all that Rodgers played in the preseason in a Jets uniform. During that period, those 2 drives, he had 9 pass attempts, 4 of which were targeted to Wilson. Wilson drew a pass interference on one of them that was, potentially big catch. The ones that he did haul in, he got 30 receiving yards just on those 4 catches and a touchdown. So Rodgers is giving him half the share out there. I think it's very evident that this is going to be Rodgers' guy this year, and I think he's going to go to him early and often, and we're going to see potentially 80, 90 yards out of this guy tonight.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think it's a great play.
All right, cool. You got any other picks on either side?
Yeah, I got a few more.
Okay, let's hear.
Let's stick with the running backs here. Since I just went to James Cook, let's talk on the Jets side. I'm liking Dalvin Cook here. So hard to read into a lot here, obviously on a new team, but he did play Buffalo last season in Week 10. Carried the ball 14 times, had 119 yards. Though he did have 81 yards on one rush on one play. So a lot of that production came on one play. Did have 1 touchdown in that game. He also caught the ball. He had 5 targets, 3 receptions for 27 yards. So that's what he did. That's what he did last year. I also wanted to look and see what did Aaron Rodgers do against Buffalo last year. He went 19 for 30. He had 203 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 2 sacks. He had a 21 quarterback rating. So did not have a good game against Buffalo. But what did he do? He handed the ball off to Aaron Jones 20 times. Jones had 143 yards rushing. He targeted Jones 5 times. He handed the ball off to A.J. Dillon 10 times. A.J. Dillon had 54 yards rushing in that game. So I think that sets up well for the Jets running backs. The reason I'm on Dalvin Cook is I'm a little down on Breece Hall. So let's just jump on Breece Hall real quick. He tore his ACL in Week 7 last year. Javonte Williams on the Broncos had the same exact injury, tore his ACL in Week 4. Javonte Williams, that means he had one extra month of recovery. So he had a pretty good game yesterday in his first game back. I think Breece Hall might need a little bit more time to recover. And if we look at the most recent star running back besides these two to tear their ACL, we're going to look at Saquon Barkley. And he was nowhere near the prior production in his first season back. His yards per carry after contact were down 17%. His touches per game were down 25%. So I'm down on Hall. I'm high on Cook here. Here's what I like for Cook. 2 plays, over 10.5 receiving yards. When he had 2+ targets last season, he cleared in 10 of 14 games. Now, I don't think he's going to have like 6 or 7 or 8 targets like he did in some of those games. So let's filter it to between 2 and 5 targets. He cleared that in 8 of 10 and got hooked on 10 in one of those misses. Yeah, you can see this is nice. We do this in NBA a lot too, because sometimes you want to weed out those overtime games, those games. Let's see what's actually going to happen here. I think between 2 and 5 targets, based on what he did based on what Aaron Rodgers did to Aaron Jones last season, I think is reasonable to expect. And he cleared that in 8 of 10. So I like that prop very much. And then I also like independently his rushing yards. So this is the craziest discrepancy you'll see. His line is 41.5 rush yards on BetMGM. It's 47.5 on FanDuel, and it's 55.5 on PointsBet.
Whoa.
Yeah. So much value. It's what is that? 14-yard delta here?
Yeah, I would say his true line is probably 48.5, right? You've got Caesars and DraftKings at 48.5. PointsBet, I don't know, might just be assuming that that Breece Hall is not going to get a whole lot of touches, and BetMGM might be assuming the other way. But it does kind of feel like the natural line is 48.5 here.
Yeah, I agree. But regardless of what the line is, any of these lines, he cleared this in 5 of 7 when he ran between 10 and 15. When he had between 10 and 15 rush attempts. So I like that because he was the guy in Minnesota last year. So he had games with like 20 plus, rushes. I don't think he gets there for the Jets, especially, with just coming in and with Breece Hall there. So I looked at between 10 and 15. He's cleared in 5 of 7. Between 10 and 18, which I could see him getting as high as 18, he cleared in 9 of 11 games. His rush attempt line is 12.5. So if you look at that between 10 and 15, that's the middle of it right there. I think that's pretty nice. So let's go Dalvin Cook over 41.5 rush yards.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I'm just thinking, my brain is like spinning right now because I'm thinking if I had access to PointsBet and BetMGM, I'd probably go in right now and place both bets, and I'd bet under 55.5 and over 41.5. They basically, you'll lose a little bit if he goes over, or under, but if he lands in between that
middle,
that 14-yard, that's pretty good value there.
I know. I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. You won't see that very often.
No.
Beautiful. I love that. I mean, I think there's a question mark as to what Breece Hall is going to do tonight, but he may not even play, is what I've heard, but I think he'll play. I think he'll play. I think he'll get limited snaps. His projected yards is 35.5, and Cook's projected yards is 55.5, or I guess 48.5 is probably the correct one. So it does the lines do tell you that Cook is going to be the primary back tonight. Because of that and because of everything you said, I actually like Cook's rush attempts tonight at 12.5. Right? Yeah. You just said Aaron Jones, was it? Got 20
Aaron
rush
Jones,
attempts.
Yeah. Had 20.
Aaron Rodgers is the king of milking the clock. It's going to be. I'm actually not really looking forward to watching the game tonight because one thing to watch. I noticed this last season. Watch Aaron Rodgers, winning or losing. He will take that play clock down to 1 second almost every single time.
Yeah,
and I say winning or losing unless they're getting blown out, right? Then they're going to be hurry up offense. But even if they're down by 7 points, he knows that part of winning today's game is keeping Josh Allen off the field, right? So he is going to basically just make this a painful game to watch. You just watch. He will take it down to 1 or 2 seconds almost every single play. He's the master of it, and he'll draw some offsides in the process as well. So,
yeah, for sure.
So because of that, I think he'll run the ball a lot as well, and I think anything on Dalvin Cook is a good play.
Yeah, nice.
All right, cool. Very nice. Let's see. What else did I have? So speaking of Josh Allen, I kind of also like his rush attempts tonight. So I have it up on the props.cash view here. We have 7.5 rush attempts. He did that. Oh, this was cool. So this is why I love props.cash so much. So he did that in 61% of games, right? You can see that right here last season. We can look at what he did in the last 10 games. He did that in also 61% of games. But then if we look at this filter, look at this one. On the road, look at that. 88% of games. So that's what is it, 9 out of 10 or something like that? Roughly 9 out of 10. 1, 2,
Yep.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, 7 out of 8. We have here. So that's pretty good. And I think this is the kind of environment where he's going to be looking deep, to his monster receivers, Diggs. He's not going to find them open. He's going to have to scramble a lot. He may not get big yards out of those scrambles. That's why I prefer his attempts over his actual yards. And I think you just look at the history. Last time he played away against the Jets, he had 9 attempts. When he played at home, where he doesn't rush as much, he had 10 attempts. So you got a good sample. 2 games last year where he had 9+ rush attempts. I think tonight he's good for 8. What do you think about that?
I don't love it as much, to be honest. I think the coaches for Buffalo, I think they want to limit, Allen's rushes, especially early in the season. I mean, that's when he opens himself up the most to injury. I think they know they live and die by him. So I know that was a goal of theirs last year, was to get his runs down. So I don't know. To me, it's a little bit more wait and see. It seems to me it feels a little bit high for what I think they might do to play it a little bit conservatively with him.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's what the coaches are telling him, and then there's reality when he hits the field. He's just a gamer, and he he will go for it. They also go for fourth down quite a bit too, and he'll be the guy who gets those sneaks, 1-yard sneaks, and he's those count as rush attempts as well. So let's see. I like that.
But I like the thought process behind the attempts as opposed to the yardage. I do agree with for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, cool. And also, not all rush attempts are the same, right? As a quarterback, you can really rush the ball without getting hit if you know how to slide, you know how to get out of bounds.
And he does. Yeah.
He definitely does. But he also is kind of hard headed sometimes.
He'll give his body up.
So, all right, cool. Do you have any other plays?
I got one more main one, and then just a quick little parlay. So I like Dalton Knox over 17.5 receiving yards. This line's 18.5 on FanDuel, 20.5 on PointsBet. I think the 17.5 is on Caesars, maybe.
15.5 on PointsBet. PointsBet's all over the place. Huh? Look at that.
No, it's 15.5. Oh,
that's what it says. But let's assume it's 18.5 at Fan. I think PointsBet's like all over the place right now.
Yeah.
So if you do have PointsBet, you could probably get some real value there. But let's look at 18.5 on Fan.
Yeah, I like it. I had it at 17.5 here. 18.5 I think is also good. So this was a guy that I was on in the preseason futures receiving pod. I think that everyone likes the shiny new toy in the tight end they drafted this year, Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah.
You could look at his line right there, is much higher. His line's like 26, 27.5.
27.5, yeah.
Yeah. So I think everyone likes the shiny new toy. But you have to remember, it's not like Knox is like a blocking tight end. His strength is in the passing game too. And Josh Allen's much more familiar with him than he is with Dalton Kincaid. You have Isaiah McKenzie is not there anymore. He had 65 targets last year. Devin Singletary is not there anymore. He had 52 targets last year. And Knox had 65. He had the best completion percentage on the team, 74% completion percentage. And he was number 3 in yards per attempt, right behind Diggs and Davis. So this guy's very, very productive for them last season. There you go. You have that pulled up right there. He cleared this in his last 12 of 16 games, averaging 37.3 yards. I knocked out that first game there. We're just looking at his last 12 of 16. And look at the 2 games against the Jets. Pull up his 2 games against the Jets.
Yeah.
25 and 41.
I mean, it makes sense. Tight ends are often a relief valve, right? So it's like you're getting a lot of pressure and you're looking for that deep ball and you don't have it. So you just dump it down to either your running back, James Cook, which plays to that play, or your tight ends, right? Which will be Knox or Kincaid. So I do like that. I mean, 18.5 yards is nothing. He can get that. I'm just looking at his longest reception against the Jets last year was 17 and 24. So he almost cleared it in one catch against the Jets, both games. I mean, I guess the only question mark is really just Kincaid. Like you said, he is a rookie. Clearly there's something there because they drafted him with a pretty high pick, but Knox will get his run out there and get.
If you look, tight ends rookie tight ends besides Gronkowski do not have a good track record in the NFL. Like regardless of how high they've been picked, you look at all the superstar tight ends, they do not have good rookie seasons. So, just something to keep in mind.
What was the guy on the
Kyle Pitts?
Yeah, no, Sam Laporta. I was looking at
on the Lions. Yeah,
on the Lions Thursday night. He just couldn't catch anything. He was getting some good balls thrown to him. He couldn't catch anything.
It's
so
a tough position.
I think that's a pretty good comparison here. All right, cool. So we're running out of time. So you want to just wrap it up with a good little parlay for us here?
Yeah, so I like you can put this together on DraftKings same game parlay. I like Rodgers and Allen for a pick each. It's plus 250.
Ooh,
Yeah.
wow. One pick
Yes,
each.
sir.
All right, let me
You
take
want
a
to just
look
pull
at
up their interceptions there? It's pretty nice.
that. I was looking at that. I mean, especially Rodgers. Rodgers seems to. Um, hold on. All right, we're going to. Let's start with Rodgers. Let's look at the ints. So he had one in the game against Buffalo, and then if you
Yep.
look at his stats for last year, he had a 53% hit rate, and really, the back half of the season, he seemed to throw one almost every other game. So I
Yeah.
think that's pretty good. That's plus 115 by itself, so that's probably a good play by itself if you don't want
Yes.
to parlay, right?
Yes.
And then Allen is the higher probability.
Look at that one.
Yeah, he had a rough year.
Yeah.
He was definitely throwing a lot of picks. Yeah, so he had a 61% hit rate. Let's see what he was like on the road. 63% on the road. That seems pretty good. You got two really good defenses. The only question
Yeah,
is, will they just have a super conservative approach today, or are they just going to get all
Josh
jazzed
Allen
up by?
and Aaron Rodgers are not super conservative guys, my friend.
No, I think they're going to get amped up.
Yeah.
It's it's Monday Night Football. It's the 9/11 game in outside of New York. There's going to be a lot of hype for this game, and both of them are going to be looking for that deep ball threat, which could lead to an INT. So I like that.
Yeah. Nice.
Right, very nice.
Any touchdown
good.
scorings, or you got anything else?
Sure. I don't have any other picks, but let's just take a quick look at the anytime touchdowns. Let's get you one pick from you and one pick from me. I honestly haven't even looked at it, so I'm going to just.
I'll give you two if you want. I'll go with the two guys that Aaron Rodgers dragged over from Green Bay, Randall Cobb and Alan Lazard. Let's go with one of those two guys. Just like when Brady brought Gronk over to Tampa Bay, they go with what's familiar there. I would take Cobb's at plus 500, Lazard's at plus 300.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Lazard's going to be on the field more than Cobb.
Yes.
But so I would probably go with Lazard at plus 300. That's pretty nice. Let's see who I like here. Not Latavius Murray at plus 950. I think even your guy Dawson Knox at plus 410 kind of looks pretty good, right?
Yeah, that's a nice one too. Yeah.
All right, 41% of games last year. Let's see who had the highest hit rate. All of last season was Breece Hall, so if he does get some good run, he'll get there. But
yeah,
and I think Dalvin Cook at plus 150 is probably a pretty good play as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, one more before we close. I'm sorry to go back. I just had to ask your opinion on this. This just looked too good to be true. Aaron Rodgers, 3.5 rushing yards. I always love this play because it's always right around 4 yards, and it's like the guy is cement at this point in his career, but he might be able to do it on a scramble. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't see him scrambling too much. I see throwing it away, whatever. I don't know. I don't love this. I would and to take an under on 3.5 yards seems insane. So I mean,
it's basically, is he going to get one rush or not, right? He does run. So anyway, that'll be fun to recap after. If I had to go with one, I'd probably go with the under. But but look at that. He's still got a little juice left in the tank.
He does.
All right, cool. Looking forward to the game tonight.
Makes us old guys feel good.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't get 3.5 yards in an NFL game.
All right. Well, that was good. Went a little long, but it's exciting. First Monday Night Football game of the year. We'll be back on Wednesday. We have a special guest coming up for the first podcast for the WNBA postseason. So that'll be fun. So we already got one pick up. We'll get a few more up today after we regroup. We'll lock the bets in and let's make some money.